Welcome back to day 3 of the Drive-In Exploitation B-Movie Challenge. I got in 2 films today. One is the 1970 film Sartana in the Valley of Death. This is part of this 8 spaghetti western Echo Bridge release. Film stars William Berger, who's he's kind of a blonde, Germanic-looking guy. The film was directed by Roberto Mari, and the only way I can describe it is an extremely pedestrian, workmanlike, lunch pail kind of direction. Not a particularly imaginative film or interestingly shot film, unfortunately. Very, very cheaply done. Basically, the film is about an infamous outlaw named Lee Galloway, and he's hired to break the 3 Craig brothers out of jail. After he does this, the Craig brothers, of course, double-cross Galloway, and Galloway has to essentially cross this sandy valley of death to extract his revenge. Yeah, it's an interesting and entertaining one-time watch. There's some crazy stuff going on in this. It's cheaply done. Apparently, they shot a lot of this in Spain. This Valley of Death is basically a sand pit in Spain. There's some crazy scenes, like when William Berger shoots the ground, it explodes, things like that. There's just some silliness. There's a lot of scenes that I felt like were kind of a takeoff of the Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. Particularly this concept of the Valley of the Death, where he's crossing the Valley of the Death, and he gets unexpectedly saved by some people in a carriage, just like in Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. I think the big problem is just the direction and the script. There's just not a whole lot going on here. It's not a particularly memorable spaghetti western, but I do think it's one that's worthy of a one-time watch. And I kind of like William Berger. He's not a Clint Eastwood, or he's not your most engaging kind of guy, and his presence is largely forgettable. But I do think he's a decent actor. Yeah, so that will wrap up Sartana and the Valley of Death, which is right there. And then I finished the day with something weird. How about some Finleys with their breakout film, The Touch of Her Flesh. Now, most of you that follow my channel and like B-movie exploitation films, I'm sure, are fully aware of the Roberta Findlay and her husband Michael. Probably from Shriek of the Mutilated, which is just a batshit crazy horror film that they did. That is a film that needs to be seen to be believed. And also, maybe people know Michael Finley as having most famously been killed in a helicopter accident on the roof of the Pan Am building in New York City back in the late 70s. That freak accident. But at any rate, so Mike and Roberta Findlay broke into show business. They were kind of an underground sexploitation group, husband and wife team that made these underground sexploitation roughies, along with guys like Joe Sarno and Lou Campa. And these roughies, they were made, and the wife Roberta, who actually played in some of the films, she was Anna Rivera in some of the films. His wife was like the cinematographer and co-writer, and he was the director, and he even acted in these films. So in this one, the first one just took off and basically kind of led to this, what they call the Flesh trilogy. This first one was made in '67, and Michael Finley directed it and starred in it. It's the story of this sadistic, misogynic psycho killer who stalks prostitutes and strippers. What precipitates this is he sees his wife, his buxom blonde wife, kind of thrashing around in bed with some guy, and it just sets him off. And so he sets about killing any women that kind of remind him of his wife. And the killings are kind of imaginably done. I mean, it's basically an excuse to show a bunch of vignettes of girls stripping and showing off their body in various ways. And honestly, this one, the girls are very attractive in this. Huge, full-breasted. There's, they're not these fake implant type stuff. These are kind of fleshy women that are all natural, back in the '60s. And the killings are done somewhat imaginatively. You got one that's a killing that's done like it was a poison-tipped rose thorn, and another does a blow dart. Well, there's a blow darts, and another is a buzzsaw. So there's some interesting elements to this, but it's largely just an excuse to show about an hour and 20 minutes of girls stripping. I mean, that's ironically enough, it was a hit, which resulted in the two other films that I'm going to watch and review, which is Curse and then Kiss. So that'll be coming. There's no special features on this Something Weird release. I just started getting into this. It's just the films themselves. Yeah, but I give it a 3 out of 10. It's not particularly engaging, and the acting is, as you would expect, not particularly good. Michael Finley's kind of, his acting and his directing are very workmanlike, lunch pailish, along the lines of Ed Wood, without a lot of the, I would say, without a lot of the charm of some of the Ed Wood films. Where the film lacks in charm, however, it makes up for it with looking at some pretty damn good-looking women. So that's it. Those are my two films for April 3rd, and I will be back tomorrow, I'm sure. Thanks for watching.